Every chapter of Fortnite so far has had its ups and downs. There have been really good and also really bad seasons. So today, we're going to be looking at the worst seasons from each chapter. Why were they so bad? Where did they go wrong? What could they have done better? That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into the video, I just want to say be sure to like this video, subscribe if you like this kind of content. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Just be sure to join the Discord, link will be in the top of the description, and be sure to use code Brivy in the item shop. Anyways, love you. Let's get right into the video. Now, for this video, I'm going to be going off the community consensus. Normally, I go off my own opinion, but I mean, I pretty much agree with the community for all of these, so I'm just going to roll with it. Chapter 1, Season X. Now, this is a pretty easy choice. Every Chapter 1 season was pretty good up until this point. So at the time, Season X was like groundbreakingly bad. Now looking back, it really wasn't that terrible. It's just the mechs kind of ruined it. This was the first time that Epic really put a super broken item into the game, and the community didn't really handle that too well. A lot of people were good at the game at the time, so the mechs were not received very well. And I mean, that really was the main problem. And I mean, to be honest, there really wasn't much else wrong with Season X. I think that if they would have taken the mechs out, this probably would be a top 10 season of all time. Like, there was an insane amount of map updates, and it moved around so much to where it's like, it stayed fresh the whole season. There was a bunch of gameplay changes with like there was a Tilted Town update where it was basically zero build inside Tilted, and there was a Batman update too. There was just a lot of cool gameplay switches, and there were some good new items too. So this season on paper actually was really good, and it should have been really good. It's just the mechs made this game unplayable at times, and the community wasn't really used to that back then. So this was a pretty bad season in Chapter 1. But moving on, we got Chapter 2, Season 6. This is also a pretty easy choice. Every other season in this chapter is looked at pretty highly, but this season, Season 6 at the time, was also very groundbreakingly bad. This season was so incredibly annoying to play. It took forever to get an actual decent loadout because of all the makeshift weapons, which were certified buns, by the way. They were awful. The crafting system was so whack because, like, you had to literally go hit cars to get parts in order to craft regular weapons. Or if you wanted primal weapons, which you never did, you would have to go kill animals. And also, the bows were so annoying because of how they were designed, you couldn't box up in one spot. Like, you had to constantly be moving because, like, the flame bow would catch your builds on fire. The stink bow, obviously stink bomb, like, you can't stay in one spot. And then the shockwave bow, well, the shockwave bow is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Also, the primal shotgun was absolutely the most disgustingly broken weapon the game had ever seen until they nerfed it like 2 weeks into the season because they knew it was broken. It was just horrendous execution by Epic. And to be honest, I just don't think the theme works. So I think it just wasn't really meant to be from the start. As far as what they could have done better, obviously they should have fixed the crafting system. Like, take the makeshift weapons out of the game, let regular weapons be the main thing, and then you could side grade to, like, primal weapons if you wanted to. I think that would have been way better. And also, add better POIs. These POIs were garbage. I thought the Spire was going to be, like, really cool, really good POI. It was not. Colossal Crops was trash. And Bony Burbs, I actually grew to like Bony Burbs in Chapter 2, Season 7, not Season 6, so. And I mean, I know it's subjective, but these new POIs were garbage. And the orange biome, it didn't do it for me. I'm sorry. I really think this season was destined to fail from the start, but that's okay, because we got an absolute gem of a season after this. Sometimes you gotta have bad seasons in order to have a really good bounce back season. And now we got Chapter 3, Season 3 / Season 4. This is the only one that I don't fully agree with. I personally think Chapter 3, Season 4 was worse than Vibin was, but the community really seems to hate Vibin. This is kind of a toss-up, to be honest, so I'll talk a little bit about both of them. So I think people hate Vibin because the theme was weak and it was very boring as a whole. It got very stale very quickly. The map changes weren't amazing, but I didn't think they were bad, personally. I just didn't think Reality Tree was that fantastic. I like the biome. I like the aesthetic of the biome. It looked cool, but it wasn't, I don't think it was enough as far as map changes go. Weren't a lot of new POIs. Also, there was no movement really at all, which I think is actually a bigger contributor than people think. I think you have to have good movement in order to have a fun season. And there just was not. So I just think people hate Vibin just because it was boring. I don't think that it was personally like annoying to play or like frustrating. It was just stale. And I don't really think that's a bad thing. I mean, every season gets stale after a while. Now, season 4, I think that they executed the theme terribly. I think the Chrome theme could have been cool, and they just didn't do a great job with it. The map changes were horrendous. It was really weird. I was not a fan of the whole Chrome taking over everything aspect. I think they could have made the season theme more like futuristic because of the whole Chrome thing, but they did not. And I don't think the theme played out very well. And as a result, neither did the weapons or the Chrome splashes or anything else that they added this season. Also, this shotgun meta was awful. Prime and the lever. And this was like when the lever was bad. Like, this wasn't even when the lever was good. This was like after they nerfed it. And it was terrible. Which leads me to Chapter 4, Season 3. So, Epic, for some reason, decided to pretty much duplicate the theme of Primal and use it for Chapter 4 Season 3. And I'm not really sure why they did that. Specifically this theme. Like, you saw how bad Primal was, and then you decide to make a season with the same theme. I don't get it. This season was horrendous. Everything from map changes to weapon meta, even the battle pass was bad. It just all sucked. There was nothing fun in the game that carried it in any way. It was unplayable and it was boring too. This was such a weird season because there was so much wrong with the meta and they just refused to acknowledge or fix it in any way. There was like absolutely zero balance at all in any of the weapons, in any of the heals, in any of the movement too. There was no movement. It was so whack. They just like kept adding broken weapon after broken weapon after broken weapon, and it just never ended. And like I said before, there wasn't even any like interesting collabs that we could like fall back on and get back on the game and be like, oh yeah, let's check this out. It didn't have it. This season was flat out just unplayable, both casually and competitively. Now, on the contrary, I do think there was some good stuff added this season. So first of all, let's discuss some bad things. Cybertron Cannon. That thing was absolutely disgusting. It did a bunch of damage and it knocked you back. I honestly barely remember it otherwise. I just remember it was stupidly overpowered, and I guess it was kind of a collab item because it was like with Transformers or something, but it was awful. The Mammoth Pistol, that thing is disgustingly broken because it was really easy to hit shots and it did 90 damage to the body. So it was incredibly broken. You didn't really have to have a lot of skill to use it. Then they added the Repeater Rifle, which shot heavy bullets and it was explosive. So you could basically have like infinite ammo and you could shoot a bunch of explosives at people. Not super balanced, to be completely honest. And then they put the Hollow Purple in the game, which was basically like the Deku Smash. Like, it was disgustingly broken. It was like a big laser ball that you shot at people and it destroyed everything. They didn't get the hint. Like, I don't know why they just never stopped. And like I said before, there was no movement this season, so I mean, there wasn't any way to get away from anything, except I think shockwaves. And they added the grapple glove back. Whoop-de-doo. Lottie frickin' da. As far as good stuff goes, the MK Alpha assault rifle, I think that thing was pretty good. Kind of like a balanced version of the MK7. The Flapjack rifle, which I actually really like. A lot of people hate on it, but I do like that gun a lot. We got the Sharp 2 shotgun, which a lot of people hate on that too, but I think it was good. It's basically just a pump that did less damage and had better range. Kind of like a mix of the pump and the combat, so. But this season, it was just not fun, man, in any way. And I think that this is most certainly the worst season in Chapter 4. I don't think it's even a debate. And as far as what they could have done better, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin. Scrap the whole season and do a whole nother one. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the map changes. The jungle biome was absolute garbage. All the POIs were trash. Just scrap the season, delete it, Control-Alt-Delete, get it out of here. And then last but not least, we got Chapter 5, Season 3. Now this was by far the most controversial and civil war-inducing season that we've ever had. You had one side of the community, the casuals, that love the season, love the cars, love the meta, and you had the other side, the comp players, that despised every part of the season. Because everything in the game was broken. Cars, nitro splashes, nitro fists. It was all stupid. And both perspectives are valid. I think from a casual perspective, I think this season was pretty fun. I kind of had to be a casual player this season, step back a little bit. And I had some fun this season. And I also tried to play ranked a lot, and it was terrible. Every time I got on, even after they fixed a bunch of stuff, it was still terrible. So naturally, competitive players weren't happy with how broken everything was, and they demanded that Epic change the game, and Epic did eventually. And the casual players did not like that. They started calling the competitive players, you know, yeah, you're a crybaby, blah, 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 blah. You can just adapt, bro, just adapt. When there was no way to adapt. Like, you can't adapt to the stuff that they added Chapter 5 Season 3. There's just no way to. The only way you can adapt to it is to just use it yourself. Fight fire with fire, which is not a great combo. So anyway, this season caused a lot of dissension among the community. But as far as the actual season goes, it was very unique, I'll say that. They did fantastic with updates and collabs this season. I will say that. Normally, I'm the one that has to, you know, give the negative opinions about collabs and updates and everything. I think they did a fantastic job. The Metallica update, Fall Guys update. Oh yeah, the Pirates of the Caribbean update was alright as well. It wasn't the best, but I think they did a great job keeping the game fresh. And I really think this season, it just depends on how you played the game. If you were a competitive player, it was not a fun season. It was unplayable. Like, it was not good. If you were a casual player, I mean, it was pretty fun. And I mean, even though I was trying to switch to a casual player, I still acknowledge the fact, like, this shouldn't exist. Like, some of this stuff just shouldn't be in the game. But I did enjoy it a little bit. I think where they went wrong with this season is they didn't split the loot pool. That's where they went wrong. I think if they would have done that, this would have been a pretty good season, but they just refused to do so. I think I think really if you do that, this is also a good season. It's so frustrating for these bad seasons because I feel like if you make 1 or 2 changes to them, it would be really, really good. I feel like that for a lot of these seasons. Like this season, Season X, I think Chapter 2 Season 6 even could have been good. Chapter 3 Season 4 probably could have been pretty good. I don't know if there's any way to save Chapter 3 Season 3, but I mean, Chapter 5 Season 3 could have been really good, and they just refused to split the loot pool. And that's what it takes, because the community is so different now. Epic's not used to having 2 drastically different sides of the community, but that's what the game is now. Like, that's what it's developed into. And they have to adjust to that, and they were not able to. And as far as, you know, like, is this the worst season, Chapter 5? Absolutely. I don't think you can make an argument that any other, maybe Season 2, but Season 2 wasn't bad. It was just disappointing to me. So Season 3 was definitely the worst season. I think it could have been good, but Epic ruined it, like they always seem to do. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Just let me know ideas down in the comments below. I think, honestly, this was one of your guys' ideas. Like, I saw this comment, and I was like, well, that's a pretty good idea, actually. So I put it in a poll, and everyone liked the idea. So continue to leave your suggestions down. I mean, I look at these. I promise I do. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Just be sure to like this video, subscribe. Be sure to turn the bell icon on so that you're notified when I'm live. Use code BREVITHINGTHATItemShop, of course. I love you, and I will see you in the next one.